After too long of a vacation, the official Glory Hunter podcast is back live on the air. Hopefully you'll join us. Hopefully you didn't think we gave up on the whole project, but I apologize because I had work issues, working at vacations. I mean, it's been so long your hair grew. Yeah, I know.
It's like the visual representation of how long it's been.
Yeah, I know. We're probably going to start doing these live on Thursday and then give you clips throughout the week. Live on Sunday and then give you clips throughout the week. That's going to be our plan. But of course, you can be a Glory Hunter too. Make sure you join our Discord. And if you want to upload any kind of football content, it's a community project, and you're more than welcome to. But all that being said, let's go over the big stories of the week. We are now in the middle of an international week. There's some stories to talk about. The Prem just started. Leagues Cup just finished. Columbus is your champion. The Bundesliga started. The La Liga is started, and nobody cares. But I guess did the French league start yet?
I'm not sure. That's our little. It might have.
The world's farm system. Also, in Kylian Mbappe, he started too. Before I get into the main thing, Mbappe taking a lot of heat early. Have you noticed that a little bit? Like, he's not doing anything. Only played 3 games. Only 1 goal in those 3 games. Is this just the media overreacting or fans overreacting? He did not have he wasn't like super dominant during the Euros by any stretch for France. But is this just a matter of just readjusting? Is it layover from the Euros? I mean, they do get a shorter summer in a World Cup or a Euro summer or something like that. Will he be the dominant sort of Ballon d'Or candidate that we all expect him to be going forward?
I mean, yeah, probably, right. It's Mbappe. Like we've never seen him move to another league before, so sure. Obviously we have no point of reference for, what kind of time he needs to adjust to a new league, a new team as well. Like everyone was talking before about, can Mbappe fit in at Real Madrid because him and Vinicius sort of like the similar positions on the pitch. So there was always going to be teething, but when you costing like 150 million in like just a buy-on clause, sign-on fee, and you're Mbappe, you're expected to win the Ballon d'Or, you're joining the best team in the world, Real Madrid, there isn't time for teething problems, is there? He has to be scoring every single game to start with, or everyone's obviously going to kick up a fuss.
Reality never really, fans and media like reality and warming up and getting comfortable and learning new coaching systems, it just never enters into anyone's mind. And me personally, I would feel foolish if I said, I don't know if he can fit in this league. It's Kylian Mbappe. He can finish with any league in the world. I'm sorry. Pound for pound, best player on the planet, talent wise, under 30.
Maybe.
Who might be better than him or on par with him? Perception of Haaland.
How old is Kevin De Bruyne?
He's under 30. Under 30. He's over 30. Under 30. I know there 30. Are. Yeah. Under 30, I don't think there's a better player in the world.
That was my maybe. I was like, I can't think exactly how old De Bruyne is because I'd
fair enough.
De Bruyne over him, but under 30, then yeah, probably.
Yeah, under 30. All right, let's get into a lot of stuff we missed. Green Man, Glory Hunter Green Man. He says that Pochettino, who reportedly signed for the United States, too good for us. I hear this every time we get a good player. They're defiling themselves, and now we're getting a decent coach. Most U.S. men's teams fans are over the moon about this. This is, outside of getting Jurgen Klopp, and some people make the argument this is a much better fit. How do you think about Pochettino for the Team USA?
I think it's a big signing, to be quite honest. I wasn't a big fan of him at Chelsea, but that was more down to his style with the squad more than anything. He did a fantastic job taking Spurs to a Champions League final in the past. PSG gave him the job after that, and then Chelsea have given him the job, so he's clearly like a high pedigree coach. The top teams are the ones that are hiring this guy. So for the US to get a guy that is usually looking at the top clubs in the world to sign for, clearly that's like an impressive take, right? Klinsmann was a big name, but he was never being courted by the big clubs.
No.
this is the first time the US have got a coach that you would normally see coaching at the top level, and so yeah, it's a big move in terms of that.
And he's young. He's not like well past his prime. We're not talking about somebody in their late to mid 60s. We're talking about a 52-year-old guy. That's a very young coach that's already accomplished quite a bit. The guy would be in the running for any big job in the Prem if there was an availability. So this is a huge thing. What do you think about this comment? Like, he's too good for us. Is there a I do feel this. I know you're not like this, but there does seem to be this feeling whenever we get a big player like a Messi, whenever something big happens for MLS, whenever there seems to be this almost like I found out the English stopped saying soccer around the time Pele actually went to the United States. It's like, okay, it's football now. That's what the Americans say, so we're not going to say that anymore. And apparently, it wasn't uncommonly said throughout England prior to that. I've learned that. Where does that come from? And is there any truth to it? Are you ruining your career? Are you damaging your legacy somehow if you move to the United States for any reason in particular?
I think it depends when in your career you do that. As far as a player goes, it's going to be the same as like going to the Saudi league or something like that, right? If you're Mbappe, right, you're in your prime years and you choose to go to the US now, as exciting a league the MLS can be, it's not the top league. If you're like at the peak of your competitiveness and you're trying to be the best, win a Ballon d'Or, and you go to the US, you're sort of ruining your career in a sense that you're sort of wiping out your chances of doing any of these things. But
like, you hear about that guys. I understand that, and Ricky Puig would probably be the best example. I understand that part, but why is it when like a Ronaldo was considered, or a Messi was considered, or even a Pochettino who's a young coach? Why is that a bad thing? I mean, like, how are you ruining your career if you're Lionel Messi? Like, we actually had a debate on here. That they thought the Messi going to Inter Miami, Green Man said it because he could be a little petulant at times. It's done nothing but wonders for the game. It's done nothing but wonders for the sport, and has grew it. I don't understand. Is it just some kind of like weird bigotry, or is it just like, the U.S. wins all the gold medals? Why we don't want them to get good at this too? I mean, where is it coming from?
Probably because no one likes the US.
Because we win everything.
It's nothing to do with the league. It's just no one likes you. So we see our favorite toy go over to the US, and it's like, fucking, what's he doing?
Yeah,
you're not supposed to go and play for them. They're the enemy, sort of thing.
How are we the enemy? We don't even compete with someone with a top league. You said it yourself. MLS is exciting. Okay, that's great.
Not in terms of football, you're not the enemy, but just in life. No one likes the Americans. They're loud. They're obnoxious.
Yeah.
We Europeans, we're the class.
Yeah, you're classy. Yeah, classy. So, go to a football game in Europe. You'll see all
the greatest player in our sport has gone to your country, and so he sullied himself. It
irritates me. But I hear things like, the U.S. is always trying to put like a Thierry Henry or Jurgen Klinsmann in there or something along those lines. They need to go for a coach like Pochettino. Like Pochettino, he's too good to go there. He can't win. He can't win. So that's the biggest story out of that. Let's keep going. This is the Snakes are back, of course. I guess I'm going to let you spike the football on this. Declan Rice and Jack Grealish, who came up through the Irish system, they played as Irish nationals on 21. Both grew up in England, by the way. I just want to make that 100% clear. Are the goal scorers against Ireland in their Nations League match? Does anybody really care about the Nations League, or is it just like desperately trying to make friendlies mean something? I don't think anybody cares about the Nations League, do they?
It was made to make friendlies mean something, and I've only ever met one person in my life who has, regarded the Nations League in high regard, and that would be Green Man, and that's because his country is shit at everything else. And so, if they can win a few friendlies, then it's a big deal for him. But Nations League is like the Carabao Cup, right?
Yeah.
Where no one really cares about it until you get to the final and you can win it, and then all of a sudden it's a big deal because it's a trophy, right?
Because it is a league.
Before that,
it is a league. It has promotion relegation. They have it in each. They have it in. I know CONCACAF has one. Of course, UEFA has one. And then if you're in the top league, you can qualify for a tournament that qualifies you for a final that qualifies you for a trophy. I mean, on the surface, it sounds pretty neat, but it's not really considered anything more than a friendly. Of course, that kind of makes it a country like Ireland excited to win it. But what a stab in the gut with Declan Rice and Jack Grealish scoring the goals. Both guys and even though your new coach, what's your new coach's name?
Interim coach Lee Carsley.
Has a pretty good start, and he has ties to Ireland as well.
Yeah, he's Birmingham born and raised, but he played for Ireland internationally.
Oh, so he did the opposite. Well, he's not as.
So he's another plastic paddy. He's like, oh, I'm too shit for England, so I'm going to play for Ireland. But he was too shit for England, so he didn't switch back.
Yeah, I got you. And Declan Rice. Interesting thing I saw, and how familiar are you with Alexi Lawless's mouth?
I know he doesn't have the most positive reputation, but I haven't personally been privy to anything he's said.
It was so funny. It just showed you how to touch he was, because Declan Rice, when he scored a screamer too, a really nice goal. He did the same thing he did against West Ham. He didn't want to over celebrate. He pushed his hands down, and he was getting actually heat from Alexi Lawless for doing that. He's like, "You picked a team, cheer for a team." And I think your first goal back, maybe you should do that. That be a tradition. And yeah, you picked your team. It's your own team. But I thought that it's kind of a tinderbox there. Maybe Declan did the right thing. Where are you on that?
Well, as someone who's half German myself, it would be. I would feel the same if I scored against Germany, where I would pick England to play for as my national team because I'm English.
Sure.
But I wouldn't celebrate a goal as much as I would against another nation, I suppose, because I do feel a bit of kinship there because of my mother and that side of the family. And so I can understand if Rice is doing it from that point of view, where it's like, look, I'm happy I scored, but I'm not gonna make a big fuss because my family's Irish or whatever.
Sure.
So I think that's understandable for me personally. I think he picked his team, he picked England. Sure, but you can still feel a bit of kinship there with another country if your family's from there, even if you did choose England over that nation.
Sure.
So I think it's completely fair to not want to make a big deal against that other country if that's the way you feel.
The funny thing about Lawless, on the surface, I'm kind of I'm with him, but I just think it's because things are kind of hot in England and Ireland right now, and maybe and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they went to both those guys and they said, "Hey, if you do score, use your head." All right. I mean, could you see them maybe approaching them before that? You're going to be taking a lot of heat out there if you do score, behave yourself.
Whether someone said that to them or not, it would at least be playing in their minds, right? You'd think, because it's not like switching from England to Jamaica and then you score against England for Jamaica. Yeah. Who's going to kick up a fuss about that?
Nobody.
No one really cares. But as far as Ireland and England goes, there's obviously a history there. And so, even if no one said anything, it would certainly be playing on their minds. So, you've got to think that does factor into it, where they probably are thinking, if I pull an Addy Bayor and go and celebrate in front of their fans, it's going to kick off, right?
Yeah, right. It's probably almost kicked off then. I got the pleasure of watching that particular celebration in 2009. Is it 2009? I think it was. That's what it said with Mr. Adebayo. I guess England looked real good. It's a nice test for them. Ireland, on the other hand, but they really don't have a lot of depth there, and traffic cones for center backs. I don't know what can be improved there. I do not envy the coach. Long gone are the days of Robbie Keane. It's tough for a country so small to produce great talent, and sometimes they do, and then they all of a sudden they say they're English. So it is kind of crushing. Every coach has created a monster. It's meme time. I guess Sir Alex. We got. I don't think anybody created Messi. Ronaldo. I got Pep with Messi. Lewandowski with Klopp, and Anthony with Carl Ten Hag. Speaking of United, where do you see them this year? I'm not really even sure what their start is so far. Do you see them being any kind of threat or in top 4 team or anything like that, or middle of the road, lucky to get Europe is where I'm putting them out?
Well, yeah, they've started poor once again, but I don't know. My belief before the start of the season was I think they're not going to be top 4.
No.
Like, certainly not. They're going to be top 4, but I still think they're going to be in there for like Europa League places. In all honesty, they do this every year. The United look absolutely shit. Everyone makes fun of them, but then somehow, even though they've been shit all year, they somehow end up finishing like 6th or 7th, which
in Europe or something like that.
It's not that bad. In all honesty, I could see them doing it again. I like some of the players they signed. Maybe Ten Hag will go or not. Who knows? I don't know, but I just get the feeling they're going to do the same thing again this year where everyone's making fun of them. They've started poorly, but somehow the results will come here and there and it'll be enough for them to find an all right finish. You know, if they make a European spot this year, I think that's a solid finish for United, in all honesty. Like, when you look at the mess their squad is, everything that's going on behind the scenes, I think you can't complain too much if they get into a European spot. But top 4, I think, is way beyond their reach.
I think it's really strange here that we're hearing so much about Jurgen Klopp coming back to management when it's a farewell match. It's a friendly. He's back. He's back. He's like, and also he turned us down in Wiesbaden. He didn't come to the Mainz Wiesbaden Cup match, so I'm a little angry at him for that. But like, why are they saying he's back? It's just a friendly. I mean, it's just a fun thing to do. Preziak and Kuba farewell match. I guess he coached those guys when he was at Dortmund. He left Dortmund, of course, 7 years ago. I don't know. I guess a better question is Jurgen really done? Because this is the first sign that he's shown. You know, he kind of flirted with, you know, he said some things about the States. They approached him and he turned the job down. You know, we've had rumors of him still, I guess, being a part of Liverpool. He's going to be active within Liverpool, I guess. Some of their management or a consultant or something like that. Is he done? Is he going to you know, when Germans say they're done, they tend to be a la Philip Lam. You know, you don't see guys dragging it out. You don't see him pulling up Podolski and just playing until they can't move anymore. Podolski's Polish, by the way. He's not really German. It is, I guess what I'm getting at, like, what is he doing? I want to know what he's doing. I haven't seen him around town, by the way.
God knows what he's doing, to be honest. He said in that interview, about the US thing, he said, as far as like right now is concerned, I'm like done with football. But he's not like officially retired. Yeah. And I feel like if he's like fully done, then surely he comes out and retires, right? Yeah. Whereas this he's still like left the door open where it's like, you know, I'm resting and then, you know, there's still the possibility that I'll come back into it. So he's not like fully done. This is obviously, I don't think this really means anything, this game. I think that's just like more of a favour thing because these two players, he spent a lot of years with them. They were integral parts of his title-winning side and everything like that. And they spent so many years of their career at Dortmund. So it was like we'll get the legendary Dortmund manager who managed them to come in and do this thing with them for their farewell. And so I don't think this is like tells us anything about what's going on in his mind as far as management is concerned. I think it's really hard to say anything, to be honest. He's left all the possibilities open at the moment. So yeah, everything's just speculation really at the moment.
A 5-0 victory over Hungary, the Germans, and there's a new Rusiala, they call him. Ritziala, I think this is the new tag team going forward. Of course, Gerdewan is done. Neuer is done. They both checked out. You're actually getting the first view of the modern incarnation of Germany, and I think there's a lot to be excited about with these two. Musiala was one of those guys that I thought maybe wasn't living up to his name. Not so much last season, but the season prior. I felt like there was a lot of hype and not a lot of dominance, so to speak. You know, he. At times, even in the World Cup, and they made an early exit with Spain, who ended up winning the championship. I think the Germans have a lot to look forward to, and with the Julian Nagelsmann seemingly letting them play and not doing what Bastian Schweinsteiger has complained about. He never complained about Pep. He complained about Pep Light for every team, which I think is a legitimate complaint. Germans looking dangerous in this coming World Cup. They could be World Cup champions in the United States in 2 years. I could see that happening, and I could see these two being a huge part of it. Any disagreement?
No, I fully agree. Sorry, I think I said it during the tournament and afterwards. I said the final was that Spain-Germany game because they were the two best teams in the tournament. The only reason Germany didn't make a Euros final was because they played Spain so early on in the tournament. They played anyone else up until that point, I think we would have seen Germany make the final.
I think
they
you're right.
were in really good form, playing really well. They've got some of the best young players going forward. You know, Nagelsmann, I said it before and I'll say it again, he's the best coach in international football right now. I don't think any of the other ones step to him. Even De La Fuente, the Spanish coach, I think he's obviously fantastic, but I still think Nagelsmann has more pedigree there. I think Nagelsmann is the best coach in international football. And so, yeah, I think they certainly are going to be a huge threat going into the World Cup as long as they don't have major injuries or something like that, because it would be quite fun to see a Spain-Germany rematch, I think, because that was a really tight game in the Euros, and so a round two could be a really spicy affair.
Nagelsmann, if I'm not mistaken, has the opportunity to become the youngest World Cup champion coach ever. He'll just be, I think, just 39 or 40. I don't know if he'd be quite, so this year, 38, he'll be at 40 years old. I think that would be the youngest World Cup manager if he actually, for some reason, pulls it off, because he's 38 right now. We've got 2 summers to go. What an accomplishment that way. I mean, what he's done in Hoffenheim and getting a second place finish with Leipzig. And then every game he wins, every accomplishment he has, it really just, it buries Oliver Kahn for any kind of post-football career. Really one of the, I often wonder if, we have these in the States, like the curse of the Bambino when Babe Ruth left the Red Sox to the Yankees, and the Yankees went on to have their sort of legendary, become the face of baseball, the face of the league, the iconic Yankee. That was because Babe Ruth became a superstar. And I really wonder, and they call it the curse of the Bambino. It took almost 100 years for the Red Sox to win a championship. I really do wonder if, with Nagelsmann's success, that is there going to be a curse for Bayern in years to come? Because certainly they got even though Leverkusen lost the other day, their undefeated streak is over in the Bundesliga. But I do wonder if there's going to be a new guard in Germany, and more teams will start competing for that number one spot in the future.
Maybe, but I just find it so hard to count them out. You've seen it already. Like Jonathan Tah was really desperate to get a Bayern move this summer from Leverkusen.
Yeah.
Like you'd think after the season they've had with Leverkusen and, Bayern struggles in the summer, they still even had the pull to take one of the best defenders from that team that beat them to really want to move to Bayern. And so I think it's just so hard to write them off with because they have way more.
I don't know if I'm writing them off as much as I think it's going to be a lot more competitive. The management.
I can see that.
Yeah. The management for Bayern, as pointed out by Lothar Matthäus years ago, and he was laughed about it, has been crumbling for some time, and they won the league by less and less every year. You see in the German league, really big clubs in the second league, and I get the feeling that's because it's a good old boys club and they're not progressive. Everybody's like, it's my turn to manage a type situation. I wonder, and that would be, I guess, the macro and a microcosm. I wonder if that's happening in Bayern. There's just too many Chiefs and not enough Indians over there with Bayern. And I wonder if that would actually help make the league more competitive, which I'm completely for. So the curse of Nagelsmann would be fantastic. We got some oddball news because it's not a regular week. Romeo Beckham, former Brentford player, son of legendary David Beckham, is retired from professional football at the age of 22. He's joining to end his career, pursue a career of fashion, already signing with a top fashion agent. I'd rather play football. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you. But hey, I take the money anyway I could get it. Did he ever have any serious talent No. Have you ever got to see him play, or I don't know, where
I've
has
not
he
seen
been
him
playing?
play, but it says former professional footballer
Yeah.
and former Brentford player. Brentford signed him and then put him straight into their reserve side, and he played like a couple times for the reserve team.
Okay.
Like realistically, he was not a professional footballer. He was just David Beckham's son, so they got him in for the name, but he never even had a whiff of playing first team football for a professional side. So
Gotcha.
I think that's more the reason why he's probably retired, is because he knows he's not actually going to make it as a footballer, and not because he was bored and thought, oh yeah, I'll switch.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was being paid, so he is professional. He wasn't earning his living.
Yeah, but like as far as like on the pitch,
he wasn't world class.
He was more like a semi-professional level player. Yeah, in a professional setting, because his name's Beckham and not anything else.
Gotcha. All right, I just wondered, was there any rumors that he might have the talent to go to the next level? Or is no one's ever really? He's always been David Beckham's son, which will probably follow him the rest of his life, I imagine.
Yeah, I think it was always just David Beckham's son. There was probably some like hype because it was Beckham's son, so people wanted to believe maybe he could be like his dad. But the fact he's at 22 being chucked straight into a reserve team shows, that talent probably isn't there.
Former football legend Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who, when he retired from AC, he's played for every single team. I'm not going to name them all, but when he retired from AC Milan, he was asked whether he would be a coach, and he says not all great players turn out to be great coaches, which is something that I believe. I'd rather have a guy that I don't know. I'd rather have a guy like a Jurgen Klopp, or even Pep was a really good player, but I mean at play at the top level. But I would say he was more of a grinder than some of the guys he played with in Barcelona. The grinders tend to make, in my opinion, better coaches. He was asked recently on I guess he was asked again about becoming a head coach, and he said, and I take this literally, by the way, I think this is just hyperbolic. Impossible. During the game, I would punch at least 2 players. After the game 8, is he really saying I don't think he's fit for coaching. I don't think his personality matches. Is he goofing around here, or Zlatan? No chance. I don't think he has a personality to be a coach. I don't think that would fit at all. And I think if he was going to do it, I think he should start in a third league or something like that, work his way up. Your opinion?
Yeah, I fully believe it. Come on, you can see Zlatan being like that, and I totally get it. Like, I've thought before about teaching. I could never be a teacher because I would get really annoyed with some stupid stupid kid that just doesn't understand like the simplest thing, and I'd want to hit him. So I totally get that. It'd be the same sort of thing. Like, he would, because he's Zlatan, he would be able to do something, and like, he'd be telling them do it like this, and then they wouldn't be able to do it, and he would probably just get frustrated and think like, you fucking idiot, or something like that. So I totally get it. I 100% could see Zlatan reacting like that if he had.
Yeah, I believe he would punch a player too. I actually believe. I don't think it's as hyperbolic as. I could see him doing that. Maybe he's. I just wonder how. Is he just saying that to joke around, or is he saying I've looked inside. I am not fit to be a coach. He was asked the day he retired, and he says, I don't. It seemed like he would like to do something like that. He'd like to stay connected to football competitively in some way, but he doesn't know if that's the case. And we've talked about Thierry Henry before. He had some of the similar problems that you just mentioned. Thierry Henry, I mean, guys like him, world-class players, the game comes so naturally to them. Coming up with a system that's effective and explaining that system to players of all skill levels is quite a different talent. And there was rumors that he would go to the States. I think he coached Monaco for a while, right? Or was it who did Thierry Henry?
He coached Monaco.
Yeah.
He didn't last super long. And then there was like stories of players after saying like he would tell them to do something in training because he could do it because he's Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
But they're not Thierry Henry, so they couldn't do it. And then he just seemed to like not understand that they couldn't do it. And it's like, like they're not Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
Like, obviously they can't do what you're doing.
You think that Zlatan here is self-aware enough, and that's what I'm kind of getting at. Is he self-aware enough to realize that he's going to have some similar problems?
It's probably like half and half. Where he said it, he's probably said that knowing like it would be like a funny quote, but also means the truth that like he knows like that probably is what would happen. Yeah.
Big news since we haven't been around. Gerdwan left Barca. A little bit of a surprise. I mean, I've heard some rumors about not getting along with Hansi Flick, but all signs point to Dani Olmo. Has he finally been registered for Barcelona, Dani Olmo? Is that
he's already scored and assisted.
Yeah, that guy is and I guess they had to because their financial issues that Barcelona has. Only after spending 1 year, he goes right back to Man City. I'm sure Man City fans are pretty happy. He's got a lot to give, but he also left the German national team, which was a little bit of a surprise to me. I didn't hear any rumors about that. What do you think about him going to City? What do you think about him leaving the national team? Because I think Germany is really missing out here. I think this guy, he's a class act. Every time I see him speak or give an interview, he comes off like a leader, but a thoughtful person. I think that's kind of. I would love to have a guy like that talking to the Havertz and the Musialas and having an impact on them. He's done it all. I think that's kind of a big loss. But go ahead.
I agree. I think he is going to be a big loss. He's a fantastic player, and there's plenty of clips of him like at City doing like the team talks for like their Champions League finals and stuff like that. So he's certainly a leader in the locker room and a fantastic player. So he's a big loss, especially when you consider the fact Muller and Neuer are also gone from the national team. So it's sort of like an exodus of the experience at the moment in Germany, and so. Yeah, but I think he is like early 30s, so I suppose he's about that time to retire from the national team. Yeah. So I guess it makes sense. But City getting back a player who has already proven that he's fantastic in the City system. He knows Pep, he knows the system, he knows the team, he knows the players. He's brilliant for them. So to get him back on a free transfer, it's basically like he's just been on loan for a year, So we know what we're getting with Gundogan at City, right? So we already know it's a good signing, right? Because we've all seen it already, right?
Well, you know exactly what you get, and he still has a lot to give, and I still think he's one of the better football players in Europe. All the best to him. I'm a big fan, a very big fan. There was a legendary game over the weekend. Do you want to line this up? Tell us the story of Liechtenstein and San Marino.
Well, it was the clash of the Titans. San Marino, a side that hadn't won a game in 20 years, and their last win coming against Liechtenstein. And Liechtenstein, a team that hadn't won for 8 years, with their last win coming against San Marino. So both sides hadn't won for a long time, and their last win came against each other. And so to see them battling against each other once again was a huge occasion. Could it finally be the time that one of these sides wins? And indeed, that is what we got. And San Marino, with their first win in 20 years against Liechtenstein, the last time 20 years ago against Liechtenstein, with one of the worst goals I've ever seen, come out as 1-0 victors, and it was glorious. It truly was.
Although Americans are not known for their geography, I have to personally admit, I consider myself a pretty good geography guy. I had no idea that there were two tiny countries in Europe. That's because San Marino is Italy's Liechtenstein, and Liechtenstein's Germany's San Marino. It kind of works like that. They're tiny countries. I don't think they have more than a couple 100,000 people. It'd be the size a city. There's another country called Luxembourg over here. It's a little bigger than both of them, but they obviously, being in UEFA, they get absolutely routed, and the only chance they really have is to beat each other. Has there ever been a great player that's come from either of those two countries? Maybe a Premier League player?
Oof. You had the great Andy Silva, San Marino's top scorer ever, managed to make it to the second tier in Italian football.
Still an accomplishment.
But of course there hasn't been any big players.
Any Luxembourgish players that ever made it big? I'm trying to think.
And Luxembourg have a half decent team at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
They're weirdly they've got a few players that are not Premier League, but top divisions in like Eastern Europe and stuff like
Okay.
that. There's a few players, so they've actually had a couple of interesting results recently. Luxembourg, they're like in their golden generation at the moment, which obviously isn't stellar, but they put up a good fight against Portugal. I think it was. Me and Leach were watching it in the server. They managed to draw like 3-3 or something against Portugal, and it was like quite an interesting game. So,
yeah. Congratulations to San Marino. I think it's pretty funny. It's to have these tiny countries that I don't know. I just don't understand how they didn't get swallowed up. We also have another tiny country story coming up, and I want to get back at one of the glory hunters in the server. Jurgen Klopp. God is a Manchester City fan. You can't win against God or Allah or Satan, as I like to put it. Comments?
Well, God isn't just a Manchester City fan. God manages Manchester City.
Yeah, it does.
That's why you can't win.
They're going to win it again? I hear a lot of, they're going to win. Yeah, no problem. They're gonna win the league again.
Look, I was thinking before the season, I was like, maybe this is finally Arsenal's year. I think Calafiori is a fantastic signing. He's perfect for what they need at left back. Marino is a very nice addition to their midfield. You got Julian Timber returning, and Arsenal were very good last year. And the City didn't make a lot of huge changes either, so maybe this is Arsenal's year. But then I bottled it last minute, and I was like, yeah, no, actually, City are going to win it. And I put City to be my winners this year because you just... How do you bet against them?
I don't know. I mean, I did watch a video. I watched a video about this guy complaining about Haaland not scoring in big games, but there just seems to be such a high bar for Haaland. I mean, he's not going to do it in the Bundesliga. He's not going to do it in the Prem. He breaks Alan Shearer's record. Yeah, he did in the Prem, but he's not scoring the big goals. And I think a lot of that has to do with Pep. I don't know if you know this, but in Norway, he was known for his playmaking. It's tough to tell with those heavy feet of his. But apparently Pep has got him in that single-minded role, and he doesn't want him out of it, from what I see. And he's scoring. He scores a lot of goals. Certainly if you got Mbappe, who's more complete football player, I think we both could agree on that. But what's that say for somebody like Haaland, who's just, he's scoring more goals than Ronaldo ever did. He's just a machine.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. But yeah, it's that thing where it's like, oh, he doesn't score in the big games, but it's like, do you think about why he doesn't score in the big games?
Because they're all trying to contain him.
Yeah, exactly. You're focusing on the defense. Like the defense is focusing on, right, we've got to stop Haaland because he's such a huge threat, which then means there's so much more space and like opportunity for the other City players to score the goals. So yeah, Haaland's not scoring in the big games, but that's probably more down to the fact that because they focus more on stopping Haaland, so he's not scoring, but the threat of Haaland being there creates more of an opportunity for the other City players, which is why City still win the big games even with Haaland not scoring, is because him just being on the pitch is like a big beacon of look, we got to be on this guy because if you don't set up to stop Haaland's going to score. So I think, yeah, all right, sure, he doesn't score in the big games, but always when you add the context onto these things, it's usually like, oh, okay, yeah, it makes complete sense why he's not scoring in them. He's still contributing in a big way anyway.
Wayne Rooney. Christian was so good and so fucking annoying at the same time. He's probably not as good now, but he's probably just as annoying. These guys go at it back and forth. I don't get the feeling they like each other, and I don't think they ever did. You can go back to that crazy thing that Ronaldo suckered Wayne Rooney into. I guess he got him sent off in a game when they were still Manchester teammates. They're certainly two different personalities. Or is it like this guy said? Is this just busting nuts? Or do these guys not really like each other? I get the feeling they don't like each other.
I get the feeling they'll try and play it off as like banter, but there is You just get these little jabs here and there every now and then from the two of them that, I get the feeling as well they're not actually big fans of each other. There was like that thing where Rooney was criticising him for like being selfish on the pitch or whatever when he went back to United, and he like hit back at Rooney basically saying like you don't even play anymore, you're that shit sort of thing. And so like there are some instances where it doesn't come off as banter, and I think you're right. I think he's like under the radar, but I get the feeling.
I think Christian's probably pretty fucking annoying, to be honest with you.
Well,
That's my
guess. He's an egomaniac, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's a great player.
And he thinks he can do it all. So just think about it. Everyone's played pro clubs with that kind of guy. Like you join an online pro clubs game, you always have that really annoying guy who tries to do it all by himself. That's Cristiano Ronaldo, right? It's infuriating to play with him. Even if you're as good as Ronaldo and he's scoring every single week because of it, you're still going to be annoyed because you're like going to be in a good position. You want the ball, but Ronaldo's doing his Ronaldo thing. So.
I don't think Christian's a bad guy for so to speak. He probably comes off like an asshole a lot, but I mean, some of my best friends are assholes. But it is. I like the way I like the way Rooney carries himself. Maybe not as much weight, but I like the way he's more my type of player. But Ronaldo's one of the best of all time. He didn't get a lot of shit for standing and waiting for the ball for like Haaland does he? Did he? Speaking of 38-year-old Wayne Rooney, friendly against Celtic at Old Trafford. Fat Boy still got it. Bow. That's a goal in any league. that is a goal
like
in
the placement of
it. Yeah, I know. It's just unbelievable. It's like perfect right up in the corner. Oh no, you can up that. It's funny. That thing doesn't go away, even though your legs go away, but that kicking thing doesn't go away. I mean, you see stuff with David Beckham fooling around. Some of the stuff, the movement that he could put on the ball at his age. But that doesn't really go away. And what did you hear? What was his best coaching decision?
Oh yeah, it was like Rooney's best coaching decision would be to just chuck himself up front.
Yeah, he'd probably get 10 minutes out of him. Right?
I was like, he's doing such a bad job of management now. It's like he might as well, right?
Yeah, why not give it a shot?
Maybe he can save it by just going and scoring himself.
Give it a shot. Speaking of teams coming up, what do you think of Ipswich getting Liverpool and City right off the bat? Is that like fair?
I think it's more than fair. I think they're the best team. You've got to play them at some point, right? So
why not back to back? Well, they did come off with a draw. I don't think it's been a bad start for Ipswich, to be perfectly honest with you. Considering
because all right, sure, it's a really tough two first games, but there is always the silver lining of look, you've got City and Liverpool out the way now, so you're gonna have a decent run of games.
The
top two.
Well, that's true, and then they'll
top three.
Well, they get to play them again in December or January too, so it's not a threat. It's not like they're gonna have to play them like we had to play St. Pauli, who was running for the title at the very end, who was going for a championship, but we need to beat them to qualify. Or to stay in the league, or at least force a get a draw from, force a match. So I guess that's the other way to look at it, just to get them out of the way. I just wanted to. We have another guy who does podcasts and content on here, the Ipswich boys, so we wanted to bust their balls. Premier League can be hit with a legal bill of tens of millions for their case with Man City, even if they win it. I wondered about that. The cost of legal battles for the PL with clubs said to be the cause, such as Lancaster, Man City, and Everton. Furthermore, if Man City win 115 alleged breaches, they're expected to seek damages, such as the cost of lawyers hired. Here's the thing. This is, like Leicester, Man City, Everton, all these guys have lost points throughout the season. I think Forest, you could probably throw them. They've been investigated before too. But Man City can get away with it because they can tie the FA up in court forever. Is this not a concern for competitive fairness? Because I got to be honest with you, the fair pay rules I think only punish the smaller teams. From what I can see, I don't think it's very fair, and it's not really fair when one team could more than likely. I mean, we don't know for a fact. Just break the rules and tie the FA up in court for the next 10 years. Is this a problem? I mean, how many years in a row? One thing was cool about the Premier League. You usually had different champions You know, and you only see win 2 in a row. Is the Premier League going to turn into the Bundesliga where we're going to have one champion every year? And if so, what could be done?
I don't think the Premier League will become like that. I think, well, obviously I'll say this, but I think it's Pep Guardiola more than Man City than anything. I think people really underestimate the impact of Pep Guardiola. I think we saw it before. City were spending this money before Guardiola was there, and they weren't winning it every single year.
That's true.
I think this is more. I think we will see it change when Guardiola leaves, and they have to replace him, and they can't get a manager as good as Guardiola again because there is no manager as good as Guardiola. I think we will start to see it be more competitive again. But as far as solutions go, what can you do? I think that's just life, right?
Yeah.
Money trumps all.
I don't know. I just like I instead of these crazy
money, you can do whatever, right? And that applies to pretty much everything in life.
I don't know why they just don't have some kind of flat rule. This is the amount of money, probably because of European law. Come to think of it, like this is the amount of money that you can spend per team. This is a maximum. You cannot go over that. But there's all sorts of loopholes, and obviously it's obviously the Man City's lawyers saying, yeah, we can get away with this because even if we're wrong, we could tie them up in court. That seems to be what's going on now. I mean, that gives them a hell of an
exactly what they did with UEFA. That's why, because UEFA gave them a 2-year ban from European competition, and they got it cut down in half because there were reports coming out saying that UEFA had some serious dirt on them, but they financially could not afford to compete with City legally, like in the legal battles. So they kind of had to just drop it because they said they just couldn't afford.
That's a problem. League's more powerful than the organization.
Well, that's the problem with football now. Is we've invited billionaires to own football teams, and so you have a big group of clubs now that are owned by people that have way more money than the institutions that are keeping them in check.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why it's like I don't think there is anything you can.
There's your ticket to a Super. There's the ticket to the Super League right there. That's like I'm not pro Super League. I know some Americans are, but I'm not. That's the ticket to the Super League, and that would get me if that continues. Then I might get pro Super League if that's the case, because that's the one advantage of having a franchise in an organization like the MLB and the MLS. They can't overrule the league. The league is the king, and there's got to be something. Otherwise, you're going to get this, and you're going to see more and more far situations, more and more lesser situations where they're going to gamble on not getting caught, and when they get caught, they're just going to either get sent down or fined. And teams like that can't afford the fines, and City can. I think something's got to be done with that down the road because it's just too much of an advantage. Jose Mourinho, I have Premier League titles, not the Premier League. I have Champions League, not the Champions League. The only person who can make fun of me, make an argument with me is Guardiola. He has everything that I have, not a person with no history or trophies. He'll never go away, will he?
He's just a tosser, isn't he?
He really is. He's something.
But I find it so funny. He has to say, I've got Premier Leagues, not Premier League. He can't say, I've got league titles, not league title, because he knows all of a sudden then loads of other managers like Carlo Ancelotti and of them can suddenly enter the conversation because Carlo Ancelotti only has one Premier League, but he spent like 2-3 years in the Premier League. But he's got titles all over Europe. Yeah. So that's why it's Premier League.
I see.
Yeah.
I say.
You say league titles, all of a sudden these other coaches come along and it's they're in the conversation. But Premier Leagues, he can keep it to Guardiola.
These Portuguese football guys, they really think they're. I mean, him and Ronaldo, they really think their shit doesn't stink. Huh? He really is a riot. The other thing is, I like to point out, maybe the fact that nobody can tell you anything is the reason you're not coaching in a higher league. Because he's basically telling the world, you can't tell me shit. You're not at top level anymore there, Jose.
He's having fun in Turkey, I'm sure.
Yeah, friendly, not the end of the world, but I think concerning to a lot of Americans. We don't have Pochettino there yet. We had the coach I'd never heard of subbing in. 2-1 loss to Canada. Quite a boring game, to be perfectly honest with you. Canada basically ran the... Canada basically controlled the game almost right up until the end when Luca De La Torre got a goal right after being put in there. So I guess shout out to the interim on that situation. But this is something me and Leach pointed out. You got David up front, Lauren up front. Obviously, Davies is probably the best player in North America. Schaffelberg is probably extremely underrated. He's one of the best players inside of MLS. Somebody that is young enough, I think, to make the jump to Europe, potentially. My wife says he should come to Germany because he's German, clearly. Jacob Schaffelberg. This Canadian team, this is not. These aren't a bunch of bums that you beat on the way to the World Cup. This is a genuine threat, and I think the United States is going to have to start taking this team more seriously. I don't think they're going to make a deep run in the World Cup, but they actually did play better than the United States in the Copa. They had an excellent run, only losing to Argentina. I really hope the Pochettino thing happens, because I'm getting the feeling with the U.S. team, especially. They're having too good of a time over there, and they're not afraid for their jobs. I think with Jesse Marsh in Canada, I think he's going to be a more traditional coach. Do you think that's a problem with the States? Maybe they had it a little too easy, a little too much player coach stuff going on, because you look at this lineup compared to theirs. I mean, Aronson, Pulisic, Balogun, Richards, Ream. This is even a full American lineman. Tillman. We don't even have our best players out there, and we only one MLS player that I could see out there with Schulte. Is this something to worry about in the future? Is Canada, could they be the big rivalry, be Mexico, and the United States be a third team? Because that's what I'm worried about, unless they get it together. Because the talent's on the U.S. side for sure, man for man. But I like the way Canada's playing a lot more, and I think they're a serious threat in CONCACAF football going forward.
I think the US should be fine. Canada looked pretty good, but then they've had Jesse Marsh for a little while now.
Yeah,
so he's had some time to bring his ideas and sort of have them
fair enough,
playing well. And the coach before Jesse Marsh, he had a pretty nice system going on as well there. So they've had some pretty good coaching for the past half a decade now. So they're gonna naturally be ahead tactically than the US, because the US has obviously been struggling with Berhalter and that not really working. So I think given some time with Pochettino, where he can bring in his ideas and his experience coaching, he should be able to then bring the US forward. And so the US should stay ahead. I think, like you said, the talent is on their side. Yeah. They've got a much bigger pool of players, and with Messi and everyone growing the sport, you'd assume hopefully more talent can keep coming through for the US. But as far as Canada might look ahead now, but give Pochettino some time with the team, with the players, bringing his ideas. I think, the US should be fine. I think it could just come down to that. They've had more time with their coach. They've had more time with better coaching. And so naturally they look more comfortable in the games and can beat the US.
I mean, they control the ball control, possession time, and they had them beaten just about every category. And it was tough to watch. I mean, this is a team that we beat for the UEFA. I mean, UEFA, excuse me. We beat them for the Nations League title after we beat Mexico in the semifinals of the last year or the year before, I forget. But I just get the feeling with the US, and probably because of Bill Berhalter, these guys are way too comfortable. They're not afraid of this. They're gods in the States and in the U.S. soccer sort of niche because they play in Europe, but nobody puts up with their bullshit. I can't imagine. They told Pulisic to play on the right side in AC Milan. He did it and smiled and liked it. I really wonder. I think we need a coach that has that kind of power over, and maybe Pochettino's a guy over the guys to say, I can't tell this guy shit because I haven't accomplished what he's accomplished. And I don't think you're going to ever get that from an American coach unless he succeeds, right? Unless it's Jesse Marsh wins a World Cup, which I hope doesn't happen. Victor Osman to Galatasaray. Where are you in that?
Ha 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 ha. It's his fault for being greedy, isn't it? There was there was interest from Chelsea and PSG. PSG couldn't agree a fee with Napoli. Chelsea were interested in bringing him in on loan because obviously, as everyone knows, Chelsea spent a lot of money, and so they couldn't afford to go out and spend the 120 million that Napoli wanted to sign Osimhen permanently because of FFP reasons. But they were open to bringing him in on loan for the year and then obviously reassessing in a season. But he was adamant. Him and his agent were adamant. No, we're not going to drop our wage demands, and we're not going to accept a loan without an obligation to buy, which is essentially a transfer at that point. And because Chelsea offered 150 or 160,000 a month, like wages on loan, he said no because he didn't want to drop his wage demands. In the end, he doesn't get his Saudi move because they couldn't agree something there. He doesn't get a Chelsea move because they couldn't agree on a wage there. And all of a sudden, the transfer window shuts and he's stuck at Napoli where he's already burnt all of his bridges. And he doesn't get a move to a top side. So now he has to take a move to the Turkish league where he's being paid the same as what Chelsea were offering him, is what the reports were saying. So he didn't get the money he wanted. He's getting the same money he could have got playing in the top division at Chelsea, and he didn't get his move to Saudi League earning crazy money either. So now he's just stuck in Turkey for a year, earning money nowhere near what he wanted because he was greedy.
Yeah.
And stupid enough to burn all of his bridges at his current club before he even got a move.
Sound like he worked himself into a shoot, as they say in the wrestling community.
Yeah.
There it is.
Just
dumb. Raheem Sterling's about to turn 30, I heard. Is that the reason he changed his number? Is that really it? By the way, I like to do, I like that. Really?
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm turning 30. Be 30 in December.
I mean, he's a footballer, so.
I don't know. Yeah, number 30. I don't care. You guys care too much about the numbers and stuff like that. Changing your number, I think, is weird. You guys think the numbers should
starting 11 numbers, yes.
Yeah.
Bench numbers, I don't give a shit.
Numbers are supposed to represent the individual, not the position. That's weird. I don't know. I don't go for that. So congratulations. Happy birthday to Raheem Sterling. Cristiano Ronaldo. He's got 58 million subscribers on YouTube. I thought it was funny. I saw that he had 500,000 a couple hours after he announced. I refreshed the page and it was 2 million. I shit you not. Like, that's how fast it went around. The real reason I cried in Euro 20. Oh, I haven't watched that yet. I'd be kind of interested to see that. So I got to be. I watched the channel. He does a lot of YouTuber type stuff, and he also does a lot of podcaster type stuff where people ask him questions, and then he does silly stuff like this. Who's better? It's not a bad channel. Some thought went into this channel, and it's probably a good thing because the football might be slipping away from him. What did what's his face say for Liverpool? Who's that guy I can't stand? That Scouse guy I can't stand with
Carragher.
Yeah, Carragher. Yeah, he did say this though: leave football before it leaves you. And I wonder if I actually really want to watch that video, but I think the son of a bitch will claim me. I really want to watch that video. So good luck to Cristiano Ronaldo and becoming a YouTuber. I think you're gonna have to do something after it's all over, and might as well be a YouTuber, right? I mean, it worked out for Ben. What's his name?
Foster.
Yeah, Ben Foster, great. Ben Foster he's a great YouTuber, and he's got a great channel with other stuff besides football. You're into golf and stuff like that. It's a great channel. And then he just happened to be at the right place at the right time when Wrexham. By the way, Wrexham's undefeated starting. What do you think of that? Are they going to the championship next year?
I fucking hope not.
I hope so. I mean, is that even doable? They're not.
Yeah, it's doable.
In that
when
league,
you spend more money than everyone else.
I look at England's third and second league a lot higher than I look at other countries' third and second league. I mean, the championship's like a first league, if you ask me. It's so highly competitive and fast. I mean, I understand they poured a lot of money into this, but I gotta wonder if they get promoted. It's got to be more than money at this point. I mean, it's got to be management from the top down. I mean,
They've obviously done a good job at running the club. Like, as United have shown everyone, you can chuck as much money as you like, but if you're going to run the club terribly, it's still not going to work. So, in fairness to Wrexham, they have done a good job to run the club as well as throwing money, but still.
You know why they did? Because the Americans that run it decided, why don't we hire football people and let them do it and not interfere? And I think that's one of the problems you're seeing, and especially in Germany, with these legendary clubs like Schalke and Hamburg. There's too many guys in there that wish they were in football that have a lot of money. They're getting way too involved. Oh, my football ideas would work. Why? Why do you think so? You never coached. You've never been out there. And I think I forget the other Irish guy's name, but I think Deadpool and McElhaney realize that. We don't know what we're doing, but we do know how to manage a company. You know, Ryan Reynolds is a billionaire besides this. I don't know if you know, he's a legit billionaire with some of the stuff he's in his own business outside of being an actor. I just wanted to put this up there. World Cup qualifiers were all this weekend. None of them were particularly exciting, except this one, because I don't know, what's his name? Ritzy has decided to start fucking with me in the chat over Team USA. Because I got to be honest, all those second leaguers, as bad a shape we might be in right now, we would ruin Australia, ruin them. All with your funny paint, with Irvine with his funny painted fingernails, I think Team USA would ruin them. And apparently Bahrain, which I don't think is like, do they have over 1 million in that country? Were able to beat Australia 1-0 in a game that meant something. So I was shout out to Ritzy in the chat, and be happy to join our Discord, and you can go bust balls in there and too. I got my revenge because I have the podcast on here and he doesn't. But he could start if he really wants one. Last thing, Liverpool legend Ron Yates passed away at the age of 86. He played in the early 60s. All the best to him and his family. As Liverpool starts their new season, they lose one of their legends. Yates spent 29 years and 2 spells at Liverpool as a player and a chief scout. It's a long time to be in football. And he's also a Scottish national as well. A lot of great behind-the-scene guys in football tend to be Scottish. Do you have any? This is the part of the show where we'll take calls if you want. I don't know. Is Leach there? We could do this one. Leach, you there? You're live. Of course not. We can take calls if you didn't go in the queue. You can take some calls. But do you have any oddball things that you've heard?
None that spring to mind. No. Unless you've got something to talk about.
I sort of do. I want to learn how to play Total Football. The game, because I got that game where you can actually order the cards and stuff. You get the digital cards, but you can have them sent home. I want to learn how to play that game. Okay. It's like Magic the Gathering, but for football. They just started a new season. They got their 24, 25 cards out, and you can play it on your phone or what have you. And it's sort of like Magic the Gathering, but with football cards. And if you like the card, you can have the card printed. I had a Bellingham card printed, and it's worth like $100.
So it's for nerds that think they're too cool for Magic the Gathering.
Yes, I wouldn't be caught dead playing Magic the Gathering. No, I absolutely not. All right, everybody, we're back. Hopefully, the channel's back, and if you want to be a part of our little podcast or make content yourself, just send me something and we'll put it up there. We'll give you all the credit, push it to your channel. This is a community channel, and we're looking for all types of football content creators. We're going to try to be putting more clips out. We're going to try to do these on Sunday. You can start your own podcast here. You can stream here. Just get to know us in the Discord. Send us content, and we'll do that. We don't have any I don't know. They just had I decided not to do the big derby last week with Celtic Rangers. I'm kind of glad I didn't. That story's getting old. I wish they'd do something over there. Like work a way to get them in the Prem. Ugh. It's hard to watch Celtic if they're not in Europe. Also, Champions League's close. Some of the teams are complaining. We might cover this next podcast. Some teams are looking at 3 games a week going into this. 3 games a week. Too many to play?
Yes,
too many games to play. I honestly, I think the conference, they have only 6 games before they qualify. I think Champions League and Europa League should think about doing that too. That too many games. Jurgen Klopp is right. Thank you very much, everybody. And maybe you'll see some videos about that soon and all sorts of stuff right here on Global Hunters. Have a great one. Take care, everybody, and good night. Good night. Hentai, you suck. You know you're the only one who watches that.